Captain Taj stood on the bridge of the asterisk, Horizon Seeker asterisk, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. The ship had been traveling through this uncharted sector for 3 moon cycles. His pale blue skin looked almost white under the bright lights of the command center. "Captain, we found something," said Officer Jin, her voice rising with excitement. "There's a planet in this system that doesn't match our records." Ta moved to her station. On the screen was a blue and green world, swirling with white clouds. It looked almost pretty from this distance. "Run full scans," he ordered. The crew worked quickly, their slender fingers dancing over control panels. Dr. Sung, the science officer, gasped as the data came in. "This can't be right," he said, checking the readings again. "The gravity is 1.3 times standard. The atmosphere has high oxygen levels, dangerously high. And the weather systems." He trailed off, staring at the screen. "What about them?" asked Ta. "They're violent. Massive storms, lightning, hurricanes. And that's not all." Dr. Sung pulled up more data. "The temperature range is extreme. From burning hot at the equator to freezing at the poles. And the animal life readings." He looked up at the captain with wide, dark eyes. "Sir, there are predators down there bigger than our shuttles." The bridge fell silent. Officer Bach, in charge of security, moved closer to see the screens. "I've never seen readings like this," said Dr. Sung. "According to our classification system, this is a Class 15 Deathworld." Several crew members gasped. Class 15 was the highest danger rating in the Galactic Confederation's planetary system. No known sentient species had ever evolved on anything above a Class 7. "Are you certain?" Tai asked. "The data is clear," Sung replied. "No species we know of could survive on that planet without full environmental protection. The microbes alone would probably kill us in hours." Captain Tai nodded slowly. Standard protocol for a Class 15 world was simple: mark it on the charts and stay away. But something else caught his eye on the scan data. "What are these energy readings?" he asked, pointing to strange patterns on the screen. Dr. Sung frowned. "I'm not sure. They don't match any natural pattern I've seen before. They're too regular. Could it be a malfunction in our sensors?" "I don't think so. We can run diagnostics to be sure." Tai thought for a moment. "Prepare a probe. We'll send it closer to get better readings, but keep the ship at safe distance." "Sir," said Officer Bach, "the regulations for Class 15 worlds are clear. We should report it and move on." "I know the regulations, officer," Tai replied calmly. "But those energy readings are unusual. If there's something valuable down there, the Confederation will want to know." The crew prepared a probe, launching it toward the deadly world. While they waited for it to reach orbit, they continued their scans. "Sir," called Communications Officer Ho, "I'm picking up something strange. There are electromagnetic waves coming from the planet. They have patterns." "Natural phenomena?" asked Ta. "No, sir. The patterns repeat too precisely." Dr. Sung moved to Ho's station and studied the readings. His eyes widened. "These look like communication signals." Tai felt a chill run through his body. "That's impossible. Nothing could evolve to intelligence on a world like that." The probe reached orbit and began sending back data. The crew gathered around the main screen as the first images came through. What they saw made no sense. There were structures on the surface, buildings, roads, vehicles moving along them. "Magnify," ordered Tai, his voice barely a whisper. The image zoomed in on one area. And there, walking on 2 legs, were beings moving about their daily business, apparently untroubled by the deadly environment around them. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Sung. "How could anything live there without protection?" Captain Ta stared at the screen. After 15 years exploring the galaxy for the Confederation, he thought he had seen everything. He had been wrong. "Send a message to Confederation Command," he said. "Tell them we discovered a Class 15 Deathworld. And it's inhabited." "Play it again," Captain Tay ordered. Communications Officer G nodded and tapped her console. The strange signal they had captured from the planet's surface played once more through the ship's speakers. The sounds were unlike anything they had heard before, a mix of soft and hard sounds, rising and falling in patterns. "It's definitely a language," G said. "The computer confirms it shows all the markers of intelligent communication." Dr. Sung was still staring at the sensor data, his thin fingers trembling slightly. "It makes no sense. The radiation levels alone should prevent complex life from evolving. And the gravity would crush most species we know." Captain Tai turned to his first officer, Commander Ray. "Prepare a detailed report for Confederation Command. I want every bit of data we've collected included." "Yes, sir. What do you recommend as our next action?" Ray asked. Tai considered the question carefully. Standard protocol would be to maintain orbit, continue observations, and wait for instructions. But his curiosity pushed him further. "Launch the observation drones," he decided. "I want close-up images of these beings and their settlements." Officer Bach frowned. "Captain, that goes beyond our orders. We should wait for command's response." "We're explorers, Bach," Tay replied firmly. "This could be the most important discovery in Confederation history. 3 drones, high altitude only." Within an hour, 3 small drones descended through the planet's thick atmosphere. The crew watched anxiously as the drones fought against powerful winds and lightning storms. One drone was lost almost immediately, struck by lightning. The second began sending back images before a massive flying creature, some kind of predator with a wingspan wider than the drone itself, attacked and destroyed it. The third drone survived, dropping to an altitude of 3,000 meters above a large settlement near an ocean. The images it sent back caused stunned silence on the bridge. "Magnify Sector 4, Tad ordered. The screen zoomed in on what appeared to be a gathering place. Dozens of bipedal creatures moved about. They had no scales, no protective outer shell, just thin coverings over pink-brown skin. They walked upright on 2 legs, with 2 arms ending in hands with 5 fingers each. "They look so fragile," whispered Ju. "Yet they're surviving on a Class 15 Deathworld," said Dr. Sung, shaking his head in disbelief. "Look there, they have young ones playing in the open air." The screen showed smaller versions of the creatures running and jumping in an open space. "They're buildings," Commander Ray pointed out. "Some appear quite advanced, while others are simple. It's a mix of technology levels." Ta nodded. "Direct the drone to scan other areas. I want to see more of their civilization." The drone moved over the settlement, capturing images of various structures, vehicles moving on paved roads, and large vessels on the water. The beings seemed to have mastered multiple forms of transportation and energy production. "Sir, I'm detecting electronic emissions consistent with computing technology," reported Officer Lai from the science station. "And there are signals being broadcast globally." "A planetary communication network," Sung mused. "They're definitely an advanced species." The drone's sensors picked up something else, a massive structure that appeared to be launching smaller objects high into the atmosphere. "They have space flight capability," Commander Ray said, her voice filled with awe. "Look at the thrust signature. They're using chemical propulsion." "Primitive, but effective," Tai agreed. "But how far have they gone? Why haven't we detected them before?" A message alert sounded from the communications console. She turned to the captain, her eyes wide. "Sir, we're receiving a response from Confederation Command. Admiral Han himself has replied. He says," she paused, reading the message twice to be sure. "He says to maintain position, but take no further action. The Supreme Council is sending a first contact specialist team. They'll arrive in 5 days." Ta looked back at the screen showing the strange beings going about their lives on a planet that should have killed them. 5 days, he said quietly. "We'll have a lot more data by then." A thought struck him suddenly. "Officer G, have they detected our drone?" G checked her readings and looked up with concern. "Sir, they're tracking it. And I think they're trying to communicate with it. Captain Ta paced the length of the conference room. The main screen showed a three-dimensional image of the deadly planet they now orbited. 3 days had passed since they discovered the impossible, intelligent life thriving on a Class 15 Deathworld. They call themselves humans, said Officer Jai. She had been working non-stop with the linguistics team to decode the signals they were receiving from the planet. And they call their world Earth. Humans, Tay repeated, testing the strange word. Have they responded to our messages? Jay nodded. Yes, Captain. Multiple governments on their planet have sent replies. They seem both excited and cautious. Dr. Sung entered the room carrying a datapad. His usually neat appearance was disheveled from lack of sleep. Captain, I've completed my initial analysis of the humans, he said. They are unlike any species we've encountered before. The room fell silent as Sung connected his pad to the main display. Images of humans appeared, along with biological readings. Their bodies are mostly water, Sung explained. They have an internal skeleton made of calcium, with muscles attached to it. Their skin is very thin and offers almost no protection from the environment. How do they survive? Asked Commander Ray. That's the amazing part, said Sung, his voice rising with excitement. They have remarkable adaptation abilities. Their bodies can adjust to different temperatures, altitudes, and even some types of radiation. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. He showed a video of a human lifting a heavy object. Their muscles are extremely dense and powerful for their size. In their planet's gravity, they've developed strength that would be extraordinary on our worlds. Captain Tai studied the images. What about their technology? Officer Lai, who had been analyzing the drone footage, stood up. They appear to be in a transitional phase. They have advanced computing, global communications, and basic space travel. They've sent small probes to other planets in their system and have artificial satellites orbiting their world. But they've never left their system, asked Ta. No evidence of it, sir. Their propulsion technology is still too primitive for interstellar travel. A message alert sounded. She checked her console. Admiral Han's ship will arrive tomorrow, 12 hours ahead of schedule, she reported. He wants us to prepare for possible direct contact. Ta nodded. Then we need to be ready. Prepare the first contact protocols. First contact was one of the most serious situations any Confederation crew could face. There were careful steps to follow to avoid frightening or offending a new species. Sir, said Officer Bach, should we really be considering physical contact? The environmental dangers alone. The humans live there, Bach, Tai interrupted. They breathe that air and drink that water every day. They've survived. But we might not, Bach pointed out. Our biology is very different. Dr. Sung nodded in agreement. The microbes alone could be deadly to us, and their atmosphere has elements that are toxic to our species. Then we take precautions, said Ta firmly. Full environmental suits with triple filtration. No direct contact with any surface or human. The conference room door slid open, and a junior officer rushed in. Captain, the humans have launched something from their surface. It's heading toward us. The crew hurried to the bridge. On the main screen, they could see a small craft rising from Earth's surface on a plume of fire. Is it a weapon? Asked Commander Ray. Officer Lai analyzed the readings. Negative. It appears to be a simple transport vehicle. There are life signs aboard. 3 humans. They're coming to us, whispered Jie. Captain Ta stared at the approaching craft. These beings, who had evolved on the most dangerous world ever discovered, were now reaching out to meet them. Send a message, he ordered. Tell them we welcome peaceful contact and will match their orbit. And notify Admiral Han immediately. As the human craft drew closer, Ta couldn't help but wonder, what kind of species could evolve in such a hostile environment? And what would it mean for the galaxy to meet them? Admiral Han's ship, the Stellar Diplomat *, arrived with impressive timing. It was 3 times the size of Captain Taz's exploration vessel and carried a full diplomatic team. "The human craft has established orbit," reported Officer J. "They're requesting direct communication." Admiral Han nodded. He was taller than Captain Tai, with the same blue skin but darker markings that showed his higher rank and age. "Put them through." The screen flickered, and for the first time, the Confederation crew saw living humans up close. 3 of them sat in what appeared to be the control room of their spacecraft. Their skin colors varied from light to dark brown, and they had different colored fur on top of their heads. "Greetings from Earth," said the middle human. The computer translated the words with only a slight delay. "I am Director Kim, representing the United Earth Space Agency. With me are Pilot Lee and Dr. Choi." Admiral Han stepped forward. "I am Admiral Han of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and friendship." The conversation that followed was careful and measured. Both sides shared basic information about their species and cultures. The humans seemed especially interested in the idea that there were many different alien species working together in the Confederation. After an hour of talks, Director Kim made an unexpected offer. "We invite a small delegation to our surface base. We have prepared a special facility for your visit." There was silence on the bridge. Visit the surface of a Class 15 Deathworld. It seemed unthinkable. Admiral Han looked at Dr. Sung. "Is it possible?" "With extreme precautions," Dr. Sung replied. "Our best environmental suits could protect us for a limited time. But I wouldn't recommend more than 2 hours of exposure." Admiral Han thought carefully. This was not just a first contact, but a historic moment. "I will lead the delegation myself," he decided. Captain Ta stepped forward. "Admiral, with respect, my crew discovered this world. I request to join the surface team." Han nodded. "Granted. We'll also meet Dr. Sung for his scientific expertise and Officer Jun for her linguistic skills." The preparation for the descent took 6 hours. The 4 delegates were sealed into environmental suits that covered every part of their bodies. The suits were thick and heavy, with multiple layers of protection and their own air supply. "The suits will protect you from the high gravity, toxic elements in the atmosphere, and most pathogens," explained the technician. "But be careful with your movements. Any tear in the suit could be fatal." They boarded a shuttle specially designed for extreme environments. As they approached Earth's atmosphere, they could see the violent weather systems that wrapped around the planet. "Entering upper atmosphere," reported the pilot. "Braced for turbulence." The shuttle shook violently as they descended through storm clouds. Lightning flashed around them. The Confederation members gripped their seats tightly. "How do humans travel through this regularly?" wondered June aloud. Finally, they broke through the clouds. Below them was a landing pad next to a group of buildings. The shuttle touched down with a heavy thud. "Gravity compensators at maximum," said the pilot. "External environment is hostile. Temperature is 30 degrees, humidity 85%, barometric pressure 110 kilopascals. That's within the suit's tolerance," said Dr. Sung, though his voice trembled slightly. The shuttle door opened, and Earth's air rushed in through the airlock. Even with the suits, they could feel the crushing weight of the higher gravity. Captain Ta was the first to step out. Each movement was difficult, as if his body was suddenly made of stone. The air was thick and hazy. In the distance, he could see tall mountains and strange green plants. Then he saw them, a group of humans approaching. They wore simple clothes and thin masks over their mouths and noses, nothing like the full body protection the visitors needed. One human stepped forward. He removed his mask, exposing his face directly to the deadly air, and smiled. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "I'm President Jun. We've been waiting a long time to meet our neighbors in the stars." Inside the human facility, the air was filtered but still dangerous by Confederation standards. The aliens kept their suits on, moving awkwardly in the heavy gravity. President Jun led them to a large room with a round table. "We've adjusted the room to make you more comfortable," said June. Lower oxygen levels, less humidity. Dr. Sung checked his suit sensors. It's still 10 times more dangerous than our home environments, but the gesture is appreciated. The human smiled. What is dangerous to you is normal to us. Admiral Han sat down carefully, his suit creaking with each movement. We have many questions about your species. And we have many about yours, replied June. But first, let me introduce our team. 5 more humans entered the room. One was a woman with short black hair and bright eyes. This is Dr. Su, our chief scientist, said June. She's very eager to learn about your biology. Dr. Su bowed slightly. We've never met alien life before. This is a dream come true for us. Captain Tai was still struggling to understand how these beings survived. Your world, Earth, it's classified in our system as a Class 15 Deathworld, the most dangerous environment possible for life. Yet you live here without protection. Dr. Su's eyes widened. Deathworld. That's how you see Earth. She laughed softly. To us, it's just home. For the next hour, they exchanged information. The humans explained how they had evolved over millions of years, adapting to Earth's conditions. The gravity that crushed the visitors had shaped human bodies to be dense and strong. The high oxygen levels that were toxic to the aliens powered human muscles and brains. Dr. Sung was particularly interested in human physiology. Your bodies can repair damage that would kill our species. Broken bones, torn skin, even lost limbs. You can sometimes replace them. We call it medicine, said Dr. Su. It's not perfect. We still die from injuries and disease. But yes, we can heal from a lot. One of the other humans, a man named Ba, showed them images of human cities around the planet. Some were in deserts with temperatures that would melt Confederation materials. Others stood in frozen regions that should have killed any living thing. You adapt to every environment on your world, said Admiral Han with wonder. Even the most extreme ones. We've had to, explained Ba. Our history is full of migrations and adaptations. Where we can't adapt biologically, we use technology. Captain Tai noticed something in the images. You have weapons. Many different kinds. The humans grew quiet. President Jun nodded slowly. Yes. Our history also includes much conflict between our own people. We fought wars over resources, beliefs, and territories. You fight each other. On a world already trying to kill you. Officer Jun was shocked. We're not proud of it, said Jun, but it's part of who we are. Competition helped us survive the dangers of Earth. Sometimes that competition turned violent. Admiral Han exchanged glances with Ta. A species hardened by both a deadly environment and warfare would be formidable indeed. What about space travel? Asked Dr. Sung, changing the subject. You've reached your moon and sent probes to other planets, but not beyond your system. We've never had the resources, answered Dr. Su. Fighting our environment takes so much energy that reaching beyond our solar system seemed impossible. President Jun leaned forward. Until now. Your arrival changes everything. You've proven interstellar travel is possible. We want to learn from you. To join your confederation if you'll have us. Admiral Han's expression was hidden behind his helmet, but his voice was thoughtful. The Confederation has never encountered a species like yours before. Your inclusion would bring challenges, but also opportunities, added Captain Ta. He was beginning to see the potential in these resilient beings. Just then, the ground shook violently. Lights flickered and alarms began to sound. What's happening? Asked Jun in panic. The humans looked concerned but not surprised. Just a small earthquake, said President Jun calmly. Nothing to worry about. We get them all the time. The earthquake lasted only 30 seconds, but it felt much longer to the alien visitors. Captain Ta had fallen to the floor, his heavy suit making it impossible to get up quickly. Dr. Sung was checking his suit for damage. Admiral Han had gripped the table so hard that his fingers hurt. Only Officer Jun had remained calm, watching the humans with interest. The humans had simply stood in doorways or under sturdy tables, talking calmly to each other as the ground moved. "Is everyone okay?" President Jun asked when the shaking stopped. He helped Captain Tai to his feet with surprising strength. "Does this happen often?" Admiral Han asked, his voice still shaky. "Every few weeks," Dr. Su replied casually. "That was just a small one, maybe 4.5 on our scale." Nothing broke this time. The aliens were shocked. Living with regular ground movement seemed unthinkable. "We'd like to show you more of our world," said President Jun. "If your suits can handle it, we have a tour planned." The visitors looked at Dr. Sung, who checked his readings. "Our suits are holding up. We can continue for another hour before air supplies need refreshing." They left the building and boarded a human vehicle, a large bus with special seats made to hold the aliens in their bulky suits. As they drove through the human settlement, they saw people going about their daily lives. "Look at the children," said Officer Jun, pointing at a playground where small humans were climbing and running. "They're so active in this gravity. Children are built for it," explained Ba, who was acting as their guide. "Their bones and muscles develop with Earth's pull. By adult age, most humans can lift objects weighing 50 to 100 kilograms. The aliens exchanged glances. That kind of strength would be superhuman on their worlds. The bus stopped at a military training facility. President Jun had arranged for a demonstration. They watched from inside the bus as human soldiers ran obstacle courses, climbed walls, and practiced combat moves. "Our military forces train for all environments," explained a human officer named Kang. "Desert, jungle, Arctic, mountain, ocean. We can fight anywhere on Earth." "Why do you need such abilities?" asked Admiral Han. Kang looked serious. "Our history is full of conflicts. We prepare for the worst while hoping for peace." Captain Ta watched a soldier lift a heavy log and run with it. "Your troops would be unstoppable on our worlds," he said quietly. The next stop was a science center. Inside a special viewing room, the aliens could remove their helmets briefly. The air was carefully filtered, though still uncomfortable for them. Dr. Su showed them human medical technology, including artificial limbs, heart machines, and surgical tools. "We've had to become experts at repairing ourselves," she explained. "Human bodies are amazing, but also fragile in some ways. We break easily, but we heal well." She showed them a video of a surgery where doctors repaired a damaged heart while it was still beating. "You operate on yourselves while still conscious." Dr. Sung was horrified. "The patient is unconscious," Dr. Su clarified. "But yes, we can repair organs while they're still functioning." After returning to their helmets, the tour continued to a space center. Here they saw rockets and spacecraft being built. "This is our newest ship," said Bai proudly, showing them a large rocket. "It can carry 20 people to our space station." "How do you handle the force of launch?" asked Captain Ta. "Your bodies must feel crushing pressure." "We can withstand forces up to 9G for short periods," explained an engineer named One. "It's uncomfortable, but not dangerous for trained astronauts." Admiral Han was growing more impressed by the minute. These humans, these Deathworlders, had capabilities that no Confederation species possessed. They were strong, adaptable, and determined. "We have much to learn from each other," he said to President Jun as they returned to the meeting facility. Jun nodded. "We hope this is just the beginning of our relationship with the stars." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape, Captain Ta couldn't help but wonder what would happen when these remarkable beings joined the galactic community. 3 days later, a much larger Confederation ship arrived in Earth's orbit. The Grand Horizon was the flagship of the Confederation fleet, carrying the Supreme Council members who would make the final decision about Earth's status. Captain Ta stood at attention as council leader who entered the conference room aboard the Stellar Diplomat *. Leader Du was old even by Confederation standards, with pale blue skin that had faded almost to white. 4 other council members followed behind him. "Admiral Han," said Leader Du, nodding to Anne. Captain Ta, your reports about this planet and its inhabitants are disturbing. Admiral Han gestured to the data displays around the room. Everything has been verified. Council leader, Earth is indeed a Class 15 death world, and humans have evolved there naturally. Leader Du studied the images of Earth, its violent weather systems, and the humans going about their daily lives. Such a species joining the Confederation presents both opportunities and concerns. A council member named Sim spoke up. Their physical capabilities alone make them potentially dangerous. You say a standard human is stronger than our strongest athletes. In our gravity, yes, confirmed Dr. Sung, who was presenting the scientific data. Their bone and muscle density is much greater than ours. What's more, they can adapt to almost any environment. Another council member, Ro, looked troubled. And they have a history of warfare. Against each other. Yes, said Captain Ta. But they also have a strong desire for peace. They'd formed global alliances and worked together to solve their planet's problems. Leader Du asked the most important question. Can they be trusted with Confederation technology? If they gained access to our faster-than-light travel, advanced weapons, and genetic sciences, would they use them wisely? No one had an immediate answer. Down on Earth, President Jun was having a similar meeting with his Global Security Council. Representatives from 12 major nations sat around a large table, reviewing the information shared by the Confederation visitors. They classify Earth as a death world, Jun explained. To them, our normal life is extremely dangerous. General Kim, head of the United Defense Force, leaned forward. That gives us an advantage. They think we're incredibly strong and resilient. We are, compared to them, said Dr. Su, who had joined the meeting. Their homeworlds have lower gravity, mild climates, and few natural predators. Their bodies evolved for those conditions. What about their technology? Asked Representative Yoon. How advanced are they? Dr. Su displayed the data they had gathered. Their space travel is centuries ahead of ours. They have faster-than-light engines that can cross the galaxy in weeks instead of lifetimes. Their medicine, energy production, and material science are all far beyond our capabilities. We need those technologies, said another representative firmly. Especially space travel. Earth's resources are limited, and our population keeps growing. President Jun nodded. Yes, but we must approach this carefully. The Confederation seems concerned about our aggressive tendencies. They're afraid of us, said General Kim with a slight smile. Good. That means they'll respect us. Jun shook his head. Fear isn't respect, General. We want to be partners, not threats. Back on the Grand Horizon Asterisk, the Council was reaching a decision. We will invite a human delegation to meet with us, announced Leader Du. If they agree to certain conditions, Earth can join the Confederation as a special member state. What conditions? Asked Captain Ta. They must accept restrictions on military expansion beyond their solar system. They cannot build weapons using our technology, and they must allow Confederation observers to monitor their space program. Admiral Han frowned. They may see those terms as unfair. Leader Du's expression was firm. The alternative is to classify Earth as a restricted zone and forbid all contact. Is that what you want? No, said Tai quickly. The humans have much to offer the galaxy. Their strength, their adaptability, their fresh perspective. These could benefit everyone. Then let us hope they see the wisdom in cooperation, said Leader Du. Prepare for a formal meeting tomorrow. The future of both our societies may depend on it. The next morning dawned with dark clouds gathering over the meeting site. A special dome had been built for the formal talks between humans and the Confederation. It had two separate air systems, one for the humans and one for the visitors. President Jun led the human delegation, which included Dr. Su, General Kim, and representatives from major Earth nations. Leader Du headed the Confederation team, with Admiral Han, Captain Tai, and council members beside him. Before we begin, said Leader Du, I wish to express our amazement at your species. No other known intelligent life has evolved on a Class 15 world. President Jun smiled. We are equally amazed by your technology and the diversity of your confederation. The formal talks began well. Both sides shared information about their societies, technologies, and hopes for cooperation. But when Leader Du explained the conditions for Earth joining the Confederation, the mood changed. Restrictions on our military development. General Kim's voice was sharp. Observers monitoring our space program. These sound like terms for a controlled colony, not an equal partner. Leader Du's translator conveyed his firm tone. You must understand our concern. Your species has evolved in conditions that make you naturally stronger and more resilient than any Confederation race. Your history shows a tendency toward conflict. We must be cautious. President Jun tried to ease the tension. We understand your concerns, but Earth must be treated with respect. Perhaps we can find middle ground. As they debated, the weather outside worsened. Wind howled around the dome, and rain began to fall in sheets. The aliens looked nervously at the ceiling as it rattled. Just a storm, assured Dr. Su. The dome is perfectly safe. But nature had other plans. As they discussed trade agreements, the ground suddenly shook violently, much harder than the small earthquake days before. Warning alarms blared throughout the facility. Seismic event, shouted a human technician. Magnitude 8.2. Tsunami warning issued. The alien delegates panicked. Their heavy environmental suits made it difficult to move quickly. One of the council members fell, cracking his helmet against a table edge. Air hissed out of the broken seal. Help him, cried Captain Ta. The human security team reacted instantly. A woman named Officer Kang rushed to the fallen alien, pulling emergency sealant from her belt. With quick, precise movements, she patched the helmet leak, while another human lifted the heavy alien as if he weighed nothing. Evacuate to higher ground, ordered President Jun. The dome might withstand the earthquake, but not the tsunami that will follow. Outside, chaos had erupted. Buildings swayed and roads cracked. The aliens watched in horror as their technology failed in the extreme conditions. The gravity compensation in their suits flickered, making them suddenly feel the full weight of Earth's pull. Our shuttle, gasped Leader Du. We must return to our ship. The landing pad has collapsed, said General Kim, checking reports on his device. Your shuttle is damaged. Then we're trapped here. Council Member Rowe was nearly hysterical. President Jun stepped forward. No, we'll get you to safety. Dr. Su, prepare the emergency transport. General, coordinate with rescue teams. What happened next amazed the aliens. Despite the danger to themselves, humans organized quickly. They'd modified vehicles to carry the visitors, created improvised repairs for damaged environmental suits, and formed teams to clear paths through fallen debris. Captain Ta watched as a human rescue worker lifted a concrete slab that had to weigh hundreds of kilograms, holding it while others pulled a trapped person free. Another human ran through toxic smoke, by alien standards, without any breathing protection to shut off a dangerous gas leak. This is normal for you, he asked President Jun, as they rode in a sturdy vehicle climbing to higher ground. Jun nodded. Earth tries to kill us every day in one way or another. We've learned to work together when it matters most. As they reached the safety of high ground, Leader Du looked back at the human city. Despite the destruction, rescue efforts were already underway. Humans were helping each other out of damaged buildings, setting up medical stations, and organizing supplies. Perhaps, said Leader Du quietly, we have been thinking about this all wrong. 1 week after the earthquake, the human city was already rebuilding. The alien delegation had watched in amazement as people cleared away debris, repaired buildings, and restored power systems with remarkable speed. Your ability to recover from disaster is impressive, said Leader Du to President Jun as they stood on a hilltop overlooking the city. On our worlds, such destruction would take years to repair. Jun nodded. When you live on a world that regularly tries to kill you, You learn to build better each time it knocks you down. The Confederation's Grand Council had spent the week in orbit, debating Earth's future role. Now they had reached a decision. Captain Ta felt nervous as he stood with Admiral Han and the other officials in the newly rebuilt meeting hall. Leader Du addressed the gathered humans and aliens. "The events of the past week have changed our understanding of your species," he began. "We came with concerns about your strength and resilience, seeing them as potential threats." He paused, looking at the humans around the room. "But now we see these qualities differently. Your strength was used not for conquest, but for rescue. Your resilience helped you rebuild rather than retreat." President Jun listened carefully, his expression hopeful but cautious. "The Confederation extends an offer of full membership to Earth," announced Leader Du. "Not as a restricted member, but as an equal partner with special status." A murmur of excitement passed through the human delegates. "Special status?" asked Jun. Admiral Han stepped forward. "Your people have abilities no other Confederation species possesses. We propose that humans serve as specialists for dangerous environments, emergency response teams, and exploration of high-risk worlds." "You want us to be your emergency workers?" General Kim frowned. "No," said Captain Tai quickly. "We want you to teach us how to be stronger, how to face challenges as you do. And in return, we'll share our technology and knowledge of the galaxy." Dr. Su spoke up. "This could be perfect for us. Earth needs room to grow, and there are millions of stars to explore." Leader Du continued, "We ask only that you approach space with the same cooperation you showed during the disaster. The galaxy doesn't need conquerors. It needs people who can face impossible challenges and survive." President Jun stood up. "We accept your offer, with one condition of our own. Earth remains sovereign, making its own decisions about its future." "Agreed," said Leader Du. The formal treaty was signed that day. Within a month, the first human ambassadors prepared to leave for the Confederation capital. They would be the first of many, as humans began to take their place among the stars. Captain Todd watched the human ship dock with the Grand Horizon *. It was much more primitive than Confederation vessels, but sturdy and practical, like its builders. "What do you think will come of this?" asked Officer G, who stood beside him. "Change," said Tai simply. "Humans will change us, and we will change them." Ambassador Du, the first human representative to the Confederation, stepped through the airlock. Behind him came his team: Dr. Huan, a biologist; Officer Min, a security expert; Engineer Pio, a technology specialist; and several others. They wore simple breathing masks, but otherwise needed no protection in the alien environment. "Welcome aboard," said Captain Ta. "Your quarters have been prepared with Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere." Ambassador Du smiled. "Thank you, but that's not necessary. We've trained to adapt to your conditions. Part of our job is to learn how you live." As the humans settled in, Admiral Han joined Ta on the observation deck. Together, they watched Earth grow smaller as the ship prepared to depart. "Do you think we made the right decision?" Han asked, "bringing Deathworlders into the Confederation." Tai thought about the strength he had witnessed, not just physical strength, but the strength of human spirit and community. "Yes," he said confidently. "The galaxy is full of dangers we've never had to face. I think we just found the people who can help us face them." The Grand Horizon entered faster than light speed, carrying the first humans to the stars. Behind them, Earth continued its violent spin, a Class 15 Deathworld that had produced the most surprising species in the galaxy.